President Trump's new position is that the entire Affordable Care Act should be gone and should be struck down in the courts. Previously, the administration had only wanted to remove the pre-existing condition protection, because if you have a pre-existing condition, Donald Trump doesn't care and wants the health insurance companies to be able to profit and then say that it's freedom. But now that this could become a reality and the Justice Department is basically behind striking down all of Obamacare, the New York Times did a great breakdown of what would happen if the ACA was struck down and how many people would be affected. So I'm going to break some of those points down for you guys. Basically, 21 million people could lose their health insurance. Of the 23 million people who either buy health insurance through the marketplace set up by the law, 11.4 million, or receive coverage through the expansion of Medicaid, 12 million, about 21 million are most at risk if Obamacare is struck down. That includes 9.2 million who receive federal subsidies. On average, the subsidies covered 525 of the 612 monthly premium for customers in the 39 states that use the federal marketplace, healthcare.gov, according to a new report from the Department of Health and Human Services. If the marketplace and subsidies go away, a comprehensive health plan would become unaffordable for most of those people, and many of them would become uninsured. I don't understand why the media doesn't call it like it is. Trump tweeted recently that the GOP is going to become the party of healthcare. In what universe? He doesn't care about outcomes. He just cares about striking down everything that has Obama's fingerprints on it. And Obamacare, wow, that's the prize pig right there. It has his name in the nickname for the Affordable Care Act. This is a bill that Mitt Romney instituted in Massachusetts. This is a Heritage Foundation bill. Personally, I'm curious about what Mitt Romney's thoughts are on this. I think that there are a lot of Republicans who secretly don't want Donald Trump to do this, because the bill is as minimal as you can get while still giving health insurance companies the leeway to, drive up their profits. It's not Medicare for all, which is what I support. It's not a public option. It's not single payer, all of which are way better solutions, but this still provides a lot of people with health insurance that they still have to buy through the private insurers. So it's crazy to do away with it. But that's the thing. It's never enough for this GOP. It's never enough. And the people surrounding Donald Trump. Because what these subsidies do is they take cash that could go towards giving tax breaks to the rich. And what Republicans hated so much about Obamacare is that it did have a tax hike on the rich. And that's how a lot of this is paid for. Even though it was a very small one. But it's never enough. They have to plunder the rest of us for themselves. There's more. 12 million adults could lose Medicaid coverage. Medicaid, the government insurance program for the poor that is jointly funded by the federal government and the states, has been the workhorse for Obamacare. If the health law were struck down, more than 12 million low-income adults who have gained Medicaid coverage through the law's expansion of the program could lose it. In all, according to the Urban Institute, enrollment in the program would drop by more than 15 million, including roughly 3 million children who get Medicaid or the Children's Health Insurance Program CHIP when their parents signed up for coverage. Medicaid expansion was a huge part of Obamacare and a very popular part of Obamacare. Medicare and Medicaid are massively popular proposals, which is why Medicare for All polls really well. And chipping away at this, it should be a complete political catastrophe if the media does its job, which is a huge if, and probably something I shouldn't hang my hat on. It's pretty unlikely. And the final staggering statistic for you: as many as 133 million Americans, roughly half the population under the age of 65, have pre-existing medical conditions that could disqualify them from buying a health insurance policy or cause them to pay significantly higher premiums if the health law were overturned, according to a government analysis done in 2017. 133 million people with pre-existing conditions. And this was what Trump really wanted to get done. He didn't want to, they wanted to scrap Obamacare piece by piece, I get it, but this was what he really wanted to go after. The meat and potatoes of the Affordable Care Act is protecting people with pre-existing conditions. And now Trump has expanded his reach and saying, no, we want to do away with the entire thing. Even though the Supreme Court has held up the constitutionality of many of the aspects of Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act, but it's never enough. Again, it's purely the fact that Obama has his fingerprints on it and it's his signature law, crazily enough, besides the Iran deal, which Trump already did away with that. That was Obama's signature foreign policy achievement, and it was a fantastic one. Fantastic. The Affordable Care Act was a good bill. Again, did not go close to as far as I would have gone, but that's really Trump's primary motivation, right? So anything Obama did, I hate it. I'm done with it because he's a child. But for the Republican Party, any tax hike on the rich, it's too much for them. It's too much for them. This isn't a bad bill for the health insurance companies. In fact, it's expanding their reach. It's probably pretty good. But when it's a small inconvenience for the rich, you've got to get away with it. Do away with it, and we won't stand for anything else. The donor class will not stand for anything else except for total subservience to the rich. Bow your head, do what you're supposed to do, GOP, and back the rich at all costs, even when there are 133 million people with health insurance, with pre-existing conditions, that could lose coverage. It's deeply depressing, but this is where we're at. And hopefully the Republican Party quietly shoos Trump away from this, because if they do away with Obamacare, President Bernie Sanders, President Elizabeth Warren, whoever, they're going to have a mandate to do whatever the heck they want, and then they'll be sorry that they ever were so arrogant to think that they could scrap such a measly bill and make the government entirely work for them and not for the rest of us.